Doop, doop. Greetings, fellow travelers. Welcome on in. This is the RPG Cave level 176. I am one of your hosts, the level 199 human Dark Lord, Ryan Turford, and I am joined, as always, by the level 199 Elf Battle Alchemist, Dr. Garret. How's it going, Garret?
I'm doing good. Now, Ryan, I'm looking at my stack of just mail, just papers on my desk, and I'm a bit of a mess.
Okay.
I guess. I need to go through it, organize it. I don't know. Do you ever had a filing cabinet?
No.
Okay.
I always associate filing cabinets with older folks to,
Yes.
have store all their important documents and stuff with filing cabinets. And that's the way I stay young, Garret, is by not owning a filing cabinet.
100%. My parents owned a filing cabinet when I was little. Had the little organizers and everything, but I think I get it now. I understand why my parents needed the filing cabinet, because a lot more things were physical back then.
That's true.
And dividing all the important documents or whatever. But I'm looking at my stack of papers here. My tax documents are right here, and I say that's pretty important. Just off to the side here, but everything's electronic now, so I have both physical, electronic. What do I do with this? What do I do with all these papers that I get every day?
You don't want to have your desk too cluttered, Garret, or else you won't be able to fit anything on your desk, like what we talked about last night, where I'm like, my desk is too cluttered for a big monitor or two monitors.
See, I have enough space for this stack of mail plus my laptop plus two monitors. That's how much desk space you really need, Ryan.
Yeah.
I forgot how many inches this desk space is, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. Garret,
Yes.
Ron wants to know, why aren't you wearing your N7 armor for this show? Of course, key with the game that we're about to talk about today, of course, with Mass Effect.
Ron, that's a great question. If you send me one, I'll wear it. How about that?
Yeah. To be fair, I'm a big dummy because I actually have not one, not two, but three Mass Effect N7 hoodies, and I'm not wearing a single one because it's actually hot here, Garret, in Canada.
It's 15 degrees apparently over there.
Yeah. Well, it's like raining outside, which is why you can actually see my lights today, which is nice.
Oh, okay. So it's is it humid? Is it it has a groggy?
It's always humid here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're right on the water, But I mean, one of the things about filing cabinets, Garret, just to finish this subject, of course, is that I always remember whenever we would move, because we used to move a lot, and my dad had a filing cabinet, and it was so heavy to carry all the time. That's the thing I always it conflated in my brain there's such a pain in the butt to move that it also it makes me, as someone who currently moves around a lot still, not want to also have a filing cabinet, simply because it's heavy and bulky and kind of annoying to kind of move from place to place.
And the filing cabinet is very particular, right? It's black or whatever color you want, but mainly the default color is black, and you have two drawers, one at the bottom, one at the top. It has a metal handle, that U-shaped metal handle. It has a little plaque up top if you want to put in a label.
Okay.
Right there, if you want.
It's spit one out from your label maker, Garret, that I know you have.
Yes. We also had a label maker for sure, 100%. And then the way to open it, there's a little metal knob on the little right next to the handle. You press in, and you pull it out. Yeah. Sometimes there's a lock, sometimes there's not, but it's very particular, the filing cabinet. And yeah, it's egregiously heavy for just a stack of papers. It's like too heavy.
That's what I mean. It's so annoying to kind of like move around and stuff.
It's
right?
Indestructible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on with this.
And to be fair, you kind of probably want that indestructible nature for your important documents, Garret. But like, yeah, again, it'd be annoying if you had to like, if you had to move from place to place constantly.
No, I understand. That would have been a pain. So,
yeah. But plus, like all my documents now are like, digital, like you talked about too. Like I finished doing my taxes. Like I already got my return and everything like last month.
Dang, you got a return.
But I didn't have like none of that's physical. It's all digital. So
nice.
Which is interesting. That's just kind of how Canada goes. Also, shout out to weather, because Ron brings up the fact that, of course, that I used him to get rain to weather, but literally out of the corner of my eye, Garret, as I mentioned, it's raining outside. I literally just looked outside for a second. I just saw this giant lightning bolt in the sky. It was so cool, but
nice.
it's like kind of crazy outside right now.
It's been raining over here as well.
If I suddenly lose power in the middle of the podcast, folks, you'll understand why. But
100%.
Yeah. Anyways, this is the RPG Cave where we don't talk about weather. We talk about RPGs all the time. So let's clear the dungeon so we can get to the raid boss as quickly as possible. So folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of ways you can do that. If you're watching the live stream right now, over youtube.com/carpoolgaming or twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Hit that follow button if you're on Twitch. And maybe if you want some cool emotes and you want to toss some bucks our way, hit that subscribe button over on Twitch. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime, you also have Twitch Prime, which allows you to subscribe for free. All that stuff helps the channel in a big way. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget that subscribe button as well, or leave us a rating if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, or leave us a nice comment on Spotify. We've been getting a lot of comments on Spotify, Garret, and they're not always nice, but that's okay. The main thing is we still always love hearing your feedback.
People not being nice. I never heard that one before.
That's okay, Garret. We acknowledge engagement on all levels on all of our platforms, Garret. So. Just like on YouTube, if you want to leave an awesome comment, we support all engagement, even if it's on YouTube as well. So, also, if you want one big podcast feed with the entire Carpool Gaming Cinematic Universe on it, head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming, just like JO5H_U4 did, nice. Or Josh U4, I guess, if you want to, assume that 5 is an S, who joined the exclusive content tier, and also Toxic, who joined up as a gold member. So shout out to both Josh _U4 and Toxic, our two newest patrons.
Nice.
Speaking of Patreon, Garret, the newest episodes of the Pants Patreon podcast for Patrons Podcast out tomorrow morning will be with yours truly.
Oh,
it's my episode. Good. I had some good questions this time around, Garret.
That's good.
So I'm excited for y'all to hear that episode going up on the Patreon in the morning, or if you're listening on, of course, the audio feeds. This happened a few days ago, so go back and check that. And Bowser is up next. So her question post will go up on Monday. So make sure if you've got questions for Bowser, make sure to leave them for her on the old Patreon. Also, speaking of Patreon, the newest episode of Campfire is out right now. It features Seth, Fee, and this person right here.
Yours truly.
Me, Ryan. Look at me. I'm on all the Patreon stuff this week, apparently, Garret.
All the podcast.
Yep. So make sure to check that out as well. It was a fun episode of Campfire. It was the first time I actually got to do Campfire, other than like the Extra Life Campfire episode. And now, Garret, we're just waiting for you to go on Campfire one time to bring some interesting conversational topics at some point.
No, I'm down to do it. It's just I'm West Coast, best coast. I'm unfortunately
West Coast is in fact the best coast. We all know this though. But
it's lovely over here, but it's also like 3 hours behind everyone else. So
there's that too. Unless of course, like you're in one of those like provinces or states that doesn't observe daylight savings time, and then it's even weirder, Garret.
Yeah, no, that's only Arizona and certain parts of Arizona. There's other parts that don't. It's so weird.
Also have Saskatchewan here in Canada that also does not observe daylight savings time.
We just need to commit. We need to commit on 1 hour or the other, and just everywhere, like the whole world needs to be on board with this.
Yeah.
So we don't mess everyone up.
Yeah. If you want to hear us talk more about daylight savings time, that was actually one of the things we talked about on Campfire.
Campfire.
So make sure to check that
Yeah.
out. And last but not least, of course, early access to the mini indie van is still happening over on Patreon. Fulia, of course, would love all of y'all's feedback, so make sure to check that out. Of course, the first episode is with Ron, who's here in the chat right now, and the second episode is with Matt. So make sure to go check it out over on the Patreon as well. And don't forget, we have a 7-day free trial of the exclusive tier on Patreon. If you want to check out any of the stuff I just talked about, the Pants Podcast, Campfire, or the mini indie van, you can check that out 7 days for free. Free trial over there on Patreon.
Wow. Free.
I know.
It's crazy.
Free asterisk included with your subscription, Garret.
Right. Game Pass level free. So, okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. And last but not least, our website, carpoolgaming.com, where you can get an RPG Cave t-shirt or other Carpool Gaming merch. But Garret, it is now time for your things. I'm starting to think, Garret. I'm like, do I start calling this Garret's things? Because I would be remiss to call it Garret's 3 things because it's usually never 3 things anymore.
Well, we'll just keep it 3 things, even though I put like 4 in here. Sometimes it can be 2 or 1.
That's not 3 things though. That's 4 things.
It's semantics, okay, Ryan. We're just gonna roll on in with the 3 things. Okay, so first one, I think it's a big one. A huge one, Ryan.
You've been talking about this nonstop ever since they announced this too. So
like a few days ago, Nintendo Store coming to San Francisco. And actually, I looked up the corner of that store. It's just like literally blocks away from my commute. I go on the BART, which is the luxurious San Francisco subway system from Oakland all the way to my stop in San Francisco, and literally I go up 3 blocks like north and the store will be right there. So it's gonna be super close to me.
You're gonna be so tempted every time you finish work to like go to the Nintendo Store after work and just go check out things.
It just oogle and ogle everywhere. And then it comes out May 15th, which is a Thursday, which is so weird. That's a work day. But also reservations are required for the grand opening.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, they probably they probably do that so there isn't like a million people waiting outside in line.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see how opening day goes. If I don't go opening day, that's fine. Just go for a weekend, just down there, and there's so many other things to do around Union Square as well. So just walk around, do stuff. And go to the Nintendo Store. I've been to the New York one twice, and it's been pretty cool. So
yeah, I've only been to the New York one once, and that was like I'd have to say it was in 2010.
Oh wow,
it's been a long time since I've been to that store. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, and I'm gonna look into what's the exclusive merch over there. So if you want anything, I'm looking.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be seeing what.
I don't know if I could afford the exchange rate though, Garret, more than anything.
Oh gosh, the exchange rate, it keeps.
Yeah, the Canadian dollar is not in a good place right now. So buying American goods is not ideal at the moment.
Yeah. I understand, but all right. Anyways, Nintendo Store, May 15th. Thing number 2. Avowed update. Now I'm in the second area now.
Okay.
Ryan.
Okay. This is the one, of course, where there's a second area that we've talked about where we've heard from lots of people. This is the area where like people start to feel the difficulty curve a little bit.
Oh, I didn't feel the difficulty curve at all.
Oh, interesting.
I'm so good. I'm like so powerful as a mage. It's insane.
Okay.
I keep destroying fools left and right with my wand and my grimoire book of sparks. Basically, I summon an electric spear and I just and then summon sparks from my hand and destroy all the mushrooms. It's amazing, actually. So I think I got a good build going on. I'm feeling the sameness, the tediousness of this game a little bit more in the second. It's like, oh, okay, we're going through this kind of thing again as I did in the first area.
Yeah.
You'll
kind of feel that in each of the areas probably a little.
Yeah. So I'm not I'm not too hyped about it. Avowed's fine. It's a good game. but it's not like blowing my mind or anything like that.
That makes me so sad, just because again I remember like how excited you were for this game, going into it.
And that was gonna be a banger. And it's good. It's just, but you can obviously tell it was a reboot of a reboot, and you can obviously tell they just needed to kind of finish it out and go to the next project.
Yeah, you can tell it was definitely a live service game at one point.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. There was like one side quest I went into yesterday, into like a ditch, like a hole or whatever. And the second, it was just this old guy, and the old guy's like, "Oh, just help out and grab my research documents of whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, where is it at?" "Oh, it's like right there. It's like adjacent. It's like it's like you're gonna do this quest in 2 minutes." Like that, and I'm just like, really? Like this is the level of depth you're gonna go into? Okay, sure.
That sounds exactly like some of the side quests in Final Fantasy 14. Of course, Sean Capri chimes in the chat. I missed it. What game is this? We're talking about Avowed right now.
Yeah, we're talking about Avowed. Yeah.
Garrett's giving us his Avowed update. In Final Fantasy 14, sometimes there are side quests, Garrett, where the quest NPC will be like, help. My child is lost and I need to find them. And you literally walk like 10 steps and the kid's right there. You talk to the kid and the kid's like, oh, let's go and see my mommy. And then you walk the previous 10 steps and then you walk back to the mom and you talk to her and she's like, oh, you found my child. Thank you so much. And then the quest ends.
That's literally how I felt yesterday with that old guy in the book. He was like, I lost my essence there, or my research. A bunch of mushrooms stole it. And it's literally like, it's in a hole, like this big hole. And it's like, yeah, it's right there. Like literally the area right next to you, dude.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Exactly.
It's Avowed, and it's whatever. Anyways, I just want to go to my names right here, the Fried Twins. Them from the Assassin's Creed Syndicate game. I'm itching for Assassin's Creed. I don't know. Sean's been talking about Shadows, and I'm like, man, I wanna play a game. Like I get a mood. I get a feeling every time I want to go to Assassin's Creed. The last game I really finished was Origins. So,
because you never played Odyssey or Valhalla, right? Or you never finished those games, I should say.
I played like 25 hours of Valhalla, and I'm like, all right, this is my feel. But you know what? I should really get into Syndicate and just finish it. I was really deep into it on the PlayStation 4. I just want to go back in and go from the beginning and just play all the way through. So maybe that's in the backlog or the front log pretty soon. We'll see. Anyways.
Yeah. I'm also pretty excited about Shadows in a few weeks. Even though I can't buy it right away, I'm like, I could play it. The Ubisoft Plus membership for a month is right there. I could finish that game in a month, Garrett. I could. So I'm thinking about it.
I'm looking at your arcade cabinets over there, and it's not Pac-Man or Galaga.
No, it's Rally X. It's a racing game.
Oh, okay. I just didn't see that on the top of your arcade.
It's a 10-in-1 arcade machine, so it's got a bunch of different games on it.
Got it. Okay. I was freaking out for a second. Anyways, thing number 3, we did a tournament of Racket yesterday.
We sure did. In fact, Sean joined us as well. It was the three of us hanging out.
Yeah. The people voted for my next commute game. I kind of split evenly between a lot of handheld games like GBA, 3DS, and Vita, and Bravely Default 1.
Yep.
And I was surprised by that, actually.
Me too.
So I guess I'll continue my playthrough of Bravely Default 1 right after I'm done with Castlevania Circle of the Moon.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be glorious.
Speaking of games, before we move on, Garrett, I want to bring in Ghoul Rob here from the YouTube chat, who says, I just bought a PS3 with Metal Gear Solid 4 and Dragon Age. It's a great Saturday today. I love this comment, Garrett, because
interesting.
I love Metal Gear Solid 4. I think it's a great game, and I'm very sad that it's stuck on the PlayStation 3. And then Dragon Age, which I'm assuming
the first one.
It's the first one, Dragon Age Origins, which we've talked about on the show before. But Sean and I are huge fans of Dragon Age Origins. I love that game. So
I really enjoyed that game too. I played it a few years ago. It's great.
Yeah. These are good picks. Ghoul Rob. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Anyways, we're done with my 3 things. I'm not gonna do the last thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
We'll do it next
so what
time.
you're saying is HVAC Sparky's Garrett's 3+ things is not actually accurate.
Well, 3+ means it could be plus, right?
It could be.
It could be.
Yeah. I mean, last night you'll be excited to know, Garrett, before we move on to the topic at hand. I played Clive Barker's Jericho for the first time on
Of course
Xbox
you did.
360. Dude, that game's actually really fun.
Of course it is.
It's like a horror first-person shooter, but like you have like a squad with different magical abilities and stuff, and like you play a ghost that like goes into the body of your squad members, and you can kind of like change your squad members like instantly to solve like different puzzles or different like combat situations. And I think this game's super cool. Like I'm actually really enjoying this game a lot, despite the fact that it's also kind of silly.
And this was Codemasters?
It was Codemasters, but actually I did some more research. It's actually made by Mercury Steam, the company that made Metroid Dread.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
So that game is pretty cool. I'll talk about it more on PlayStation Drive tomorrow, but I'm actually kind of enjoying Clive Barker's Jericho. We talked about it at least a little bit on the tournament bracket yesterday, but anyways, good. Without further ado, I've kept the people waiting long enough because
only
I know,
20 minutes.
Sean and Ron specifically here are just chomping at the bit, waiting to hear us talk about this game. So we're going to read from the sacred texts because it's time, Garrett. The newest installment of Garrett's backlog adventures has arrived. Garrett, you have finished the original Mass Effect.
Yes,
Part of the Legendary Edition. You played the Legendary Edition version.
Yes, that's correct.
I didn't make you go all the way back to the Xbox 360 or PS3 version of Mass Effect 1.
I do have the 360 version though, digitally on Xbox.
Yeah. So I didn't make you play it that way because it's a little bit rougher than this version that you played. So we're going to talk about it. So we're going to kind of do what we usually do with these things, where we will do non-spoilers to start. But of course, since it's an older game, and because of course in Mass Effect in particular, there's a lot of like spoiler stuff that I want to talk about. We will do a spoiler section at the end. In fact, we will kind of do like the outro first, and then we'll kind of do the spoiler part. So then people can stick around if they want to talk about spoilers. If not, if they don't want to be spoiled and they hear you talk about this game and want to go play it, then we should do that as well. So Garrett, I kind of put this banner together for spoilers. Tell me what you thought. Just your non-spoilery thoughts on playing Mass Effect for the first time.
Ooh, non-spoilery thought. That's actually kind of hard because this Mass.
I know. I know that the section's going to be short.
Yeah, Mass Effect games are filled with your choices.
Yeah.
How you want to play it out. Anyways, so Mass Effect 1 is, and I'm trying to really compare it to Dragon Age because I feel like those were, made by the same developer. They were really close in release as well. Mass Effect 1 is a good game. It's a good game. I would say it's really, and I'm trying to put it in the context of when it was released in 2007.
Yep. The same year that Halo 3 came out, as well as BioShock and a lot of other games. 2007 was a really good year of games.
Great year. But like I would say the format of this action RPG is kind of the genesis, I would say, of like a lot of like sci-fi storytelling. Really pushed the boundary of this type of game. Basically, it reminds me a lot of Starfield, actually. Because I played Starfield earlier, but basically, you go into this game in the story, and then you go out into the galaxy, and there's many different planets, and you go and do your missions as your Spectre team or whatever. So there's a lot of side missions along with this game, but I feel like the meat of this game is the story.
Yeah,
is the choices you make in the story. And what are the consequences? And I can obviously tell my choices in this game will affect the next game. Like it was very clear.
Yep. Or the next two games, because again, like some of the stuff doesn't come up in the second game that you might think it might, but it comes up like in the third game even, which is like really super interesting game design.
There was a lot of course, choice-driven dialogue. There was a lot of black and white stuff in here, actually. There was not too much gray in this area. So it's either you're going to be pretty good or you're going to be pretty awful person.
Yep. And I mean, you can kind of make play the middle choices a little bit, but you get some benefit for either being a little more evil or a little less evil. You know.
Yeah, no, there is certainly a choice that gives you some characters like you, and then other characters not like you as much. I do enjoy the themes that are introduced in this game, the lore building a lot. So it's set in the future where humanity it gets introduced to this greater alien life intelligence of various different species, and they're trying to fit into this whole galaxy like kind of society.
Yeah, because they're like the newest people to the big galaxy. Because that's the thing. It's not like typical space stories, Garret, where like they'll come across each other by like floating in space or whatever. They find this mass relay, which is like an ancient device, like machine that allows them to kind of like move across the galaxy at super fast speeds. And that brings them to the center of the galaxy where the other alien races are. And they've already kind of have a foothold there. And there's a lot of stuff about, the First Contact War and some other stuff that you learn more about,
right.
With how, this wasn't, necessarily a peaceful thing to start.
No,
but I love the fact that they dive into so much of that with the notes as well. But that's kind of why humanity is kind of on the back foot for the first time probably in their history, because they're kind of like the new people at the table. They were the latest kind of race to kind of discover the mass relays.
Yes. And then getting into it, as you said, it was not a peaceful transition. There was wars, and then there was a lot of lore just around not just only humanity getting into society, but just the different species in general, your enemies. Is pretty interesting backstory with the Geth. And then going throughout the story of like what is the overarching story of this game is pretty cool. Like you don't really see it that much anymore. And I think people get really lost in newer open world dialogue games, how to really tell a story. I really feel it with Avowed. Like Avowed's like, oh, this is a kind of a cool story or whatever, but it's just kind of static. It's just like, you're kind of just a character that's going through an adventure. Whereas this one's like, there's choices, there's consequences, and then you're at. I feel like there's stakes. There's high stakes in this game for sure, and you can honestly feel it in the weight of it as you're going to continue on after this game as well. Like when I finished this game, I'm like, oh, everyone really felt there's going to be a next game. Yeah. Like, oh, that's crazy. Like,
well, they had announced already, like for context, Garret, they announced that there would be 2 sequels, like it would be a full trilogy when they announced the game in general. When they first announced it at the Xbox 360 reveal event is when this game was initially revealed. Because at that time, BioWare was a second-party studio. Like Microsoft published all their games. So they actually announced ahead of time that this was going to be a trilogy. So people knew going into it that it was going to be a trilogy of games, and they were all going to kind of connect together. Like that was something that was an idea that they kind of both wrote into the story of the game, but also like explained to the players, like you expect that this is going to be a thing going into this. But Garret, I have to bring in Sean's question from the chat here because I think it's a great question. Garret, question. Tell me what do you think of the science in the game? There's this element 0 that reduces matter to have 0 mass, which allows it to travel the speed of light. Oh my God.
That is pretty cool logic right there, isn't it? Like there's some sort of conceptual thing where mass is not relevant. It's non-existent. Therefore, you can go through it in like a vacuum-like state. Is pretty cool. The mass relay stuff is a pretty cool concept. It reminds me of dark matter quite a bit because that's really the absence of matter. And then I like all the various planets and their description.
Yep. I was just about to ask about that. Do you like how much they went into detail about the elemental composition of each planet?
Oh yeah, no, they went heavy on the elements, man. There's sulfur, there's iron, there's oxygen, like all various planets, and I think that was pretty cool. The gas giants and the terrestrial planets, and no, they really dug into the science of it, and I'm glad they found some sort of grounding logic in some way to make this feasible. But yeah, the mask going down to 0 is pretty cool.
Yeah, because I remember like the first time I played this game, Garret, was on, of course, Xbox 360. I bought it day one because, BioWare is still my favorite video game company, despite the fact that they've kind of fallen on hard times as of late. I still love like all other games, especially, going back to, KOTOR, Jade Empire, Mass Effect, Dragon Age. Like, dude, I love BioWare. So the second that they announced this, like, I instantly pre-ordered my Xbox 360 when they announced this at the Xbox 360 reveal event. And then I made sure to pre-order this game because I was playing it day one. I was so excited for it. And it did not disappoint me. Like I would go around and just read, similar to what we just talked about, go to each planet and like read the description of each planet and be like, overwhelmed with like the level of detail that was there. And I thought all that stuff was so cool.
Yeah, I like the codex. So like all the different entries of the species and knowledge and the lore and everything, and then there was a voiceover of that as well, that reads it to you line by line, which I thought that was pretty cool. And then trying to understand the history of this life, this whole timeline of Mass Effect is pretty dope to get into it. So I think that was a little bit more interesting than gameplay mechanics and stuff. So let me get into just like other than the lore and the main missions, let me get into like the side stories or whatever. I don't know if Ryan's still there. Oh, he might be frozen actually. Yep. Okay. Let's see if we could wait for a few minutes and see if he comes back.
I'm back. The internet went out in my apartment.
Okay. That's fine.
But temporarily, it's back now.
Wow. That was very fast, but anyways, I'm glad you're back, Ryan. Hello. I was about to get into just the other side stuff that's other than the main mission and the lore of this game. There was a bunch of different side quests, of course, fetch quests.
Yep.
There was a bunch of like going off to side planets other than the main ones. And this is where I was like, okay, I can tell this is a 2007 game.
Yep.
Like very obviously. I felt like these side planets were made by Halo Forge. No joke.
Yeah, they're just like some of them felt like randomly generated planets, like you were playing No Man's Sky or something.
Yeah, and the terrain was just so weird, like so obtuse. Yeah. And they did a good job with the vehicle and trying to
the Mako.
The physics of the vehicle driving is interesting. I felt like I was playing Dirt Rally. Yep. A couple of times.
Well, in the original version, Garret, the Xbox 360 original version, the physics are even wilder with the Mako. No. And that's one of the things they actually toned down for the Legendary Edition version.
Oh, okay.
Because it was so easy to like flip the Mako and do weird things with it. Like, it was like driving the Warthog in Halo.
Yeah. I felt that one was again. It felt kind of flat just because that did not age very nicely. The side planets and the side. It's like, okay, I gotta get into the side planet. Okay, there's a thing here, and here. Okay, let me see if I can go over this valley, this cliff, this huge cliff, to get there. And so, of course, I like press hard on the right trigger, trying to get over that cliff, over that last.
Trying to use your thrusters to kind of get up the hill.
Yeah, get the inertia going.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that one didn't age very well, but I think that's just how this game is. Yeah. It's a 2007 game, so
it was also like we just didn't really have a lot that was like that, anyways. Like kind of open world exploration, sci-fi stuff like this, where they were trying to make it the terrain feel like realistic terrain. So I think like that's kind of the difference here, where it's like they were trying to do something different here, And it, some of it worked and some of it didn't. In fact, it'll be interesting if you do decide to play the through the trilogy, Garret, because with Mass Effect 2, there's no Mako at all.
Interesting.
Except for in they have some DLC missions that bring it back, and it handles much differently. And then in Mass Effect 3, they kind of bring the Mako back a little bit. But again, it plays very, very differently. Like you can definitely tell like the years of development and polish that have kind of transpired between the games there, which I think is interesting.
The Mako was like 50% of this game easily, and then most of the side missions.
Yep.
And
because you use it in all the main missions, as well as all the side, like every side mission too. Like you use it for almost everything.
And then you go into these buildings of these side quests, and I'm like, this is the exact same layout.
Yeah, the cookie cutter design. There's like four or five like facility like designs, and there's a ton of different planets with designs on them. Although, I'm glad that you at least explored some of the side quests because as I've kind of alluded to a little bit, like a lot of stuff carries over to the next two games, including stuff from the side quests. Especially if you complete certain side quests, like those will actually come up later in the story, and some of them will actually affect the stories in ways that you might not anticipate. Which is
I've been in every side quest except for like the collectible stuff.
Yeah,
that's the ones I didn't do at all. So, I did every single one of those. I could tell there was some quests I'm like, oh, interesting. That's my choice in that side quest. Let's see how that shakes out in the next game or something. I did enjoy the third-person action stuff. It was much more action-heavy than I originally anticipated. There was not... there is a lot of skill tree building and stuff like that, especially with your squad or whatever, but I felt like there wasn't much of a difference between campaign or with squad members and what your build is. Basically, it was like, okay, just get your best weapons and shoot the enemies.
The more the customization is like the mods, and even then, a lot of times you're like building towards what does the most damage. Especially since you played soldier, which I don't think we mentioned today, but we mentioned on previous episodes that you played the soldier class. So you're not really worrying about biotics or engineering skills and things like that, which give you like a little more build potential with going in different directions. Like playing a biotic, you could set up your build where you hardly use your gun at all.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, well, because there's a lot of electronic stuff and like hacking or whatever. And then
because you can because you have some like subtle things like helping the hacking mini games and things like that, but. Like if you play as the engineer, in particular, you can like take over like the Geth enemies and make them fight each other, or do like other things that get you out of combat. Or you could like if you play the infiltrator, you can turn invisible and like sneak around the enemies and then like take them out from behind.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's a lot more like leeway. Whereas if you play as the soldier, it does. Admittedly, when you play in that role, it feels a lot closer to like a standard third-person shooter, like something closer to something like Gears of War or something.
100%. I really enjoyed the feel of the weapons, though. I felt like there was a lot of unique weapons, even in the individual assault rifle, pistols, and classes or whatever. I really enjoyed sniping out Geth enemies. It felt really nice.
Yep.
So I applaud BioWare for just like even in 2007, like this is a good third-person shooter.
Yeah. Interesting note, Garret, is that if you play as one of the other classes and you don't have all the equipment proficiencies, because when you play as the soldier, you get all the proficiencies for all the weapons. But if you play as one of the other classes and you try, because you're allowed to use all the weapons, even if you don't have the proficiency for them. But so let's say you play as a biotic and you don't have the proficiency for the sniper rifle, you pull up the sniper rifle and they use the scope and it's literally like your dot marker is like doing this on the screen. It's like doing like circles and you can't really aim at anything. It's like, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way it is for like any of the weapons you use if you don't have like the proficiency for them. Because again, it lets you use any of them, but it just, you can't actually like, use them.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. And also a big thing, I guess, with the Legendary Edition, I don't know if this was in the original version, but like doing your leveling up and your skills, there's like an auto level skill.
That was always there, and you can fully customize it where you don't have to touch anything if you don't want to.
Yeah, I basically did that.
Okay.
For the most part, I was like, yeah, just throw in whatever you would like, and see and like you can see where it goes, and then it's like, oh, I don't really care for that, so let me reset these skills and put it the point where I want it. I really wanted to be really heavy on charm in the beginning, and you can obviously tell with some certain side quests and certain main missions, you want to do that. You want to put the charm kind of heavy initially just to make sure you get extra dialogue options.
Yeah, or intimidate, because intimidate's like the evil version of charm.
Yes. Yeah. So, overall, I enjoyed my time with this game. I felt like, yes, go through the main missions, because I think that's the really bulk of this game. And then the side stuff was just whatever. They were just there, and there were side planets, cool lore building and everything. It's just, you could tell it's aged quite a bit, especially going and traversing separate planets. And being, gosh, it's just playing Dirt Rally, like no joke, just trying to get around these cliffs or whatever. But anyways, that's it.
Sean chimes in with a question, saying, when you're ready, can you talk to us about characters and races? What do you think about Saren as a villain and whatnot? We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, because we're going to jump into spoilers, and that is where we're going to kind of dive into the meat about the Saren. I will say, for the record, I love Saren as a villain. I think he's incredible. I've talked about it a lot, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say about that, Garret. And we'll talk about that in the spoiler chat in just a second. But there's a couple things I want to do now that we're kind of transitioning to spoilers. I think we've gotten all the non-spoilery stuff out of the way. We're obviously going to do our Patreon shout out now, so then people can kind of bow out if they'd like, if they don't want to hear spoilers. Also, Garret, I feel it's important for us to decide your next game, and for people to hear that before we transition to spoilers. So
sounds good.
Garret, I decided for your next game to play for Garrett's Backlog Adventures that I have decided to give you a blue pill and red pill scenario.
Oh.
I have two games for you, and that's the thing. I really wanted to assign you a very specific old game. Okay. But at the same time, I know you've been playing a lot of old games, Garret, lately.
I have, actually.
And I don't want to force you to play an old game if you'd rather play a new game.
Okay.
So, Garret, I'm offering you the choice.
The choice.
Do you choose the old game or the new game? Which would you prefer? And just so you know, whichever choice you don't pick now will be chosen for the next one. So you will play this old game eventually if you pick the new game, or vice versa.
That's a great question. You know what? Let's just do a new game for now.
Let's just do new game? Okay.
We'll do an old game later.
Okay.
I'll get there. Yeah.
I have decided, Garret, that your next Garrett's Backlog Adventure game, and tell me if you don't have this game, because I will pick another one for you.
Okay, sounds good.
Because I'm pretty sure you own this game, though. Cyberpunk 2077 will be your next game.
Wow, I do have it.
I knew it. I knew you'd have this game, Garret. I know you've been kind of waiting for the right opportunity to play this game. And I know how much you love The Witcher.
Yes.
So, even though I just made you play a sci-fi game with Mass Effect.
No, I need to play this one.
I know that you need to play Cyberpunk. So,
absolutely,
Garret, your next game will be Cyberpunk 2077, and I will save this old game that I have for you that I really want you to play. That'll be your next game after Cyberpunk.
Okay. All right. So I think, let's see where I can fit this in the cards.
I mean, you can just you can put down Avowed at any time, Garret, and just play Cyberpunk.
You're absolutely correct. I do want to at least finish the main story of Avowed beforehand, but Cyberpunk. Of course. I did. So here's the thing with Cyberpunk. I did play 10 hours of it back in 2020.
Yeah.
I have the I don't have it right next to me, but the Xbox the Xbox One controller.
Okay.
The gray and the black, and it's super dope. I don't have the DLC.
That's okay.
I'm wondering if if I'm really into it, I'll probably buy the DLC.
That's what I was going to say. If you're really into it, just buy the DLC because it's good. But you don't have to play it.
And then it's on sale on Steam Deck
Interesting.
too. On Steam right now.
And you can always just pop it into your current console because it does have the free upgrade for modern consoles where it plays so much better. Because it got all those updates with Phantom Liberty, even though you don't own Phantom Liberty.
Yeah.
To make the game play like so much better.
I have the physical edition of this game, and I don't know why I just dropped off. I think I just was playing other stuff, but I love The Witcher 3. Love it. So I need to get back into Cyberpunk.
Excellent. All right.
I'll restart though. I'll go from the beginning.
You should, because honestly, it'd probably be weird to kind of pick it up in the middle where you've played it already anyways. So.
We say this is a new game. It's been a while too.
Now,
this one,
the interesting thing about this, Garret, I also have not finished Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay.
So I have decided after I'm finished Clive Barker's Jericho, I will also play Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay, sounds good.
That'll be the next game I play after Clive Barker's Jericho. So then you and I can both talk about this game together when you do finish it.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Cool. So, of course, before we transition to spoilers, I want to say thank you to our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. We're going to start with Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on the Xbox Drive and the PlayStation Drive. You can find all of its music over there. There's Linktree, linktr.ee/pme.gib. Cwagmire, who reminds you that the best babes are in fact Xenobabes, and TechMike, who says, whether you're Kevesi or Agnian, you're a Xenobabe at heart. Look, I said it correctly this time.
You said it correctly. Yay.
Links to all of our ultimate producers can always be found in the description of our podcast. Our platinum producers, Smokin Joe, the captain, and Tim Paullin. And our gold member, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, John 32, Ligerwoods 330, Mr. Giggles, OldMrFrump, Patrice Mallette, Peje, Riley King, Stephen Keller, and Toxic. Huge thank you once again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. And of course, if you want to hop in the car with us, head over there, choose the tier that's right for you. And now, Garret, we are about to transition into spoilers. Mm-hmm. So again, folks at home, if you would like to stick around for spoilers, you are more than welcome to do so. If you're going to hop off, no worries. We're going to give everyone about a minute or so before we kind of start talking about spoilers. But Garret, where can people find you on the internet? Let's get this out of the way right now as well while we're waiting.
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Blind Explosion. You can also find me on the Discord. I read every single RPG Cave message. Yes, even you, random obscure RPG game review message. I read you. I understand you. And then you can also follow me on the Backlogged at Blind Explosion. I have to put in my review for Mass Effect. I have to put the stars. I have to put the text. I'll probably do that today. So
nice.
There you go.
As for me, you can always find me on Backlog at Ryan Turford, where I will be talking. I'll be putting my review for Clive Barker's Jericho in there in the next couple days, as soon as I finish the game. And of course, you can always find me in the Discord at Ryan Turford as well. And now, Garret, we've had about a minute past. Y'all have been warned now. Even though I know it's an old game, I know a lot of people haven't played Mass Effect 1. So we're now going into spoilers for Mass Effect, Garret. It's official. I'm gonna start with Ron's question to help guide us through things a little bit, and this kind of covers some of the things in Sean's chat question from earlier as well. So let's start with Ron's question. Ron says, "All right, Dr. Bland, since you've finished one of the goats, I got to know," and he's got multiple numbered questions here. So let's start with one. Who was your favorite party to use out in the field? So who were your key party members, Garret?
And I had to list out these. I had to look up the character names again because I just completely forget the companions. So I did get all the squad members. Yeah. I didn't get anyone missed. So anyways,
I was gonna say there is only one missable one anyways.
Yes. Okay.
Because you can decide to leave Rex at the Citadel. Yeah. You can just choose not to talk to him, and that's the only one that's optional.
Right. So my main squad, I was FemShep, and it was the all lady squad. I had Liara. Yeah. And then I had the Tali Zora.
Okay. Yeah. Which is a good way because it's like it's not only that probably that you want to just have the ladies around, but that's probably like the most balanced party that you could bring.
Yeah, because I was soldier. Yeah, and then these were heavy on the other kind of aspects. So I forgot what it was like biotic and I don't know, psychic or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. She like Liara was a biotic, and then of course Talizar is like an engineer. So
right, got it. And I was mainly the combat focused soldier, so worked out pretty well. Those were my main squad members I was going throughout the story.
To be fair, most of the times when I play Mass Effect, regardless of my character class, those are usually my side members. I usually like to bring with me as well, but it's not for like a strategic reason. It's just I just like their characters. So.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I like their characters as well.
Especially like Tali. Oh my god, I love like Tali's so funny to me. Like I love just her little quips and stuff like that. I think she's such a great character.
Yeah, they seem like good people. And then I guess I can say there was a choice, I don't know, between Ashley and Kaiden to like let go, or there was a way they were both alive. I don't know.
Oh, you mean and the bombing, like the mission where one of them dies?
Right.
Yes. There is no way to save both of them. You have to choose.
Okay. Yeah, no, Ashley's totally dead.
What? How could you kill Ashley?
Totally dead. Like just down on the ground, buried. The first time I had a conversation with her, she was just legit racist with aliens.
Yeah.
Like
I knew where this is going.
It was so bad. I'm just like, wow, you are really just into the human pride type of deal, being kill the bigot, basically. I had there was no second thought in the choices.
She turns it around, though. I'll have you know, she turns it around, and she becomes a lot more accepting of alien races.
Actually, I threw her into the squad in the main mission. She's like, okay, hopefully you die over there. And then, of course, Kaiden was there trying to deactivate the bomb. It's like, it's your choice. Are you gonna help Ashley or Kaiden? I was like, we all know the answer to that question.
Yeah, it's always Ashley.
No,
I for the record, Garret. I let Kaiden die every single time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's because his voice is the same as Karth from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and I hate Karth. So I'm just like, yes, I will murder you. I will let you die every time.
Okay, so he had like kind of a outside reason for Kaiden. Okay.
Of course.
Sounds good.
There wasn't anything about, but to be fair, I just wasn't really enamored with the kind of his character, anyways. So.
I did convince Rex to kind of hold off on that mission as well. Yep. I did watch the YouTube sequence of where you straight up kill Rex, and I'm like, holy crap.
That's actually what happened. You mentioned leveling up your charm skill earlier, Garret. If you don't level up your charm skill, you have to shoot him. Or Ashley shoots him.
Oh my goodness. That's just so rough, man. I feel bad for Rex and all I forgot what the race is called exactly, but that race is so oppressed. The Krogans, yes.
Yeah.
And then you have to face them just because they were brainwashed by Saren and the Geth, or they offered them redemption in some way. But very sad race to think about.
Yeah, because their race like is totally wrought upon because they breed uncontrollably, so they had to make it so they couldn't have children anymore. It's such a sad thing. But, of course, the genophage, as Sean references, of course, in the chat. And also he mentions he accidentally killed Rex in one of his playthroughs. Sean, there was one playthrough I did of Mass Effect where I left Rex just standing at the elevator at the Citadel. I just walked away and he just stood there. And eventually he got killed by the Geth.
There's nothing too much with Rex other than that main critical mission that you either shoot him or
What about the times you walk up and talk to him on the ship and you're like, Rex? And he's like, Shepard? And you're like, Rex? That's the conversation. That's the conversation.
Yeah, I try to talk to him. It's like, hey, do you have anything new to say? He's like, well, my race is basically oppressed and almost dead. I don't want to talk to you right now. Yeah. That's basically the whole conversation.
But it wasn't even the humans that actually introduced the genophage, which is such an interesting, prospect to it. But Ron, of course, asks his next question. Who is your favorite character? I guess he doesn't preference in your party. He just says favorite character overall. So.
Favorite character? I really liked, I did like Liara a lot. I also liked, what's that one guy? David Anderson? Is it?
Okay.
Yeah. He's kind of the head guy of the
Keith
general. The human race or whatever.
Yeah.
Not the politician guy, the other guy.
What? You didn't like the politician guy that was out for his own skin? Oh, man.
Yeah, of course. Everyone loves, his name is Dannohh Udina.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah, no, I really enjoyed it because he had probably one of the most dynamic character kind of switch over. Because he originally was like, yeah, I'm on the human side. I'm kind of with the politician, but he kind of, throughout the main story, he's like, okay, this is, I believe you, Shepard. There's something at stake here. Let's let's just break you out of the Citadel and make sure.
What did you choose for him to do? Like break into the security room or to punch Udina in the face or?
So I let him decide, and he said, "I'm gonna punch Udina in the face."
That's what he always picks. He's like, I just want to punch that dude in the face, and he does. And he does.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's great. Great stuff.
And you, of course, get to see what the fallout from that in the next game, which is always interesting.
I bet that's interesting.
Yeah. Next question from Ron. Mm-hmm. Who did you romance, Garret? And, of course, since you played as FemShep, you would have either had Kaidan or Liara to choose from.
Oh, really? Those are the only two?
Those are the only two in the first game. In the second and third game, you have way more options. But in the first game, you only have two.
You can only... I wish I could romance Liara. I didn't know I could romance Liara.
You sure can. She's in fact, she is the only character that you can romance, whether you're male shepherd or female shepherd.
Interesting. Well, there you go. My choice is Kaidan, unfortunately.
Yeah, because you only knew the one, but...
Yeah. You couldn't romance Garrus at all? Interesting.
Not in this game.
Not in this game. Okay, probably in the next game. Okay, cool.
Yeah. In fact, like almost all the party members, Garret, become romanceable in the following games. But in the first game, it's only the choice, this slim choice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll probably go for Liara next game for sure.
And originally, just so you know, because the male kind of options are Ashley or Liara, but in the original coding for the game, we actually found out that you could actually romance Ashley as as FemShep and then Kaidan as male Shep. But then I guess they removed them from the last minute. Which is
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Controversial. Interesting.
Yeah. But anyways, next one, of course, is Sean brings in Tally. You can't romance Tally in the first game. You can romance Tally in the second game. But
got it.
That's a thing. Of course, Ron chimes in. My daughter loathed Kaidan. She said he was such a whiner and dumped him. That's kind of how.
Yeah, he is kind of a whatever character. I was like, fine, I guess I'll romance you or whatever. He was as Ron said, he is such a sensitive, whiny little guy.
Yeah,
I actually enjoyed. Was it Joker?
Yep.
Yeah, Jeff.
Seth Green.
Yeah, Seth Green. That's Seth Green. Oh my gosh.
It is Seth Green. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that character a lot. The main pilot of what was the ship called again?
The Normandy.
The Normandy. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Ron. Mm-hmm. How did you feel about Saren? Personally, I think he's one of the best villains in video games.
I was initially in it. I was like, okay, Saren's like a really powerful enemy.
Yeah.
It's kind of where does his powers coming from or whatever. And then you obviously get to a point in the story. It's like, yeah, it's not really him at all.
Yeah.
It's the
indoctrination. Like he's got like robot parts in him that are like controlling his brain.
Yeah, he got robot parts and he has some sort of independence, but you can tell that he is transforming and like he's kind of forced. Like you can tell he's not all the way there. So once it got to that point, it's like, oh, okay, it's not really Saren. It's this other thing, this other outside force.
Yeah.
That's so I would say no, he's not the best villain in my book, but I feel like the reveal of this character and him being the figurehead in the beginning was kind of cool and kind of the way you meet what are they called, the Phantoms or whatever?
The Spectres?
Not Spectres. What are they called?
The race?
The one, yeah, the one
the
that's
Turians?
Not the Turians. Oh my gosh, Ryan! It's the ones that are gonna come back and take over or destroy the universe.
Oh, the Reapers.
Yes, the Reapers. That's it.
Sorry, when you said Phantoms, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Anyways, when you meet the Reaper that's in the holograph or whatever,
Sovereign. Yeah,
the Sovereign. Yeah. You're just like, oh, he's okay. That's the main driver. That's
because Sovereign is actually really like the real main villain of at least the first game. But Sarah, what I loved about him is like he's not like purely evil. Like the reason he approached the Reapers in the first place is once he discovered that the Reapers were a thing and were going to come kind of cleanse the galaxy again. Like his approach was actually to do diplomacy rather than to just try and fight them. And so he of course tried to make, contact with Sovereign and try and, be his friend and try and get them to like decide not to go out and destroy humanity or sorry, not to destroy the universe. But it failed when he kind of became indoctrinated himself,
Yeah.
He's like, he thought he could win, Sovereign over to his side, in order to kind of help the galaxy as opposed to, have
Destroying
the galaxy
it.
be cleansed essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was crazy how much power there was of the Sovereign over not just Saren, but like a lot of different races and characters and how they were. And let me tell you, the council is a bunch of idiots.
Yep.
Every time I talk to them, it's like, I don't believe you. I'm just like, what the hell?
Did you ever hang up on the council, Garret?
I was very close, but I did not hang up on the council. No.
You can totally hang up on the council. Like that's my favorite thing. In fact, like you get their hopes up the next time you call them after you hang up on them. They're like, hey, please don't hang up on us again. And I'm like, oh, I won't do that. And then you go through the conversation and I just hang up on them again. Just like, and then they acknowledge it the next time you call. It's just like, oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, I know the council is always against you, man. I was just like, really? Like, what's up with you guys? So
they definitely don't want you to make you think that they're likable in the first game.
Oh no, definitely
that opinion, like they try and change your mind a little bit on that with the subsequent games, but at least in the first game, they are definitely not likable in the first game.
Okay, let me tell you how the ending went for me. So basically, I had a choice of either the Normandy facing, I'll go through that. Either facing the Sovereign head on or saving the council. I did not save the council.
What?
I did
Their
not
poor
save
ship.
Their poor ship died. They died. I'm just like, thank goodness they're dead because they were so annoying to me and did not believe me, and they're suffering the consequences right now. So
yeah. Well, I mean, they're not really suffering any longer, Garret. They're all dead. But
they're dead.
The first time I played through it, I also sacrificed the council.
So if you did save the council, was there any consequence to it?
Yeah, the humanity lost ships, which again in this game is not an issue, but later down the road it becomes an issue.
So now the council's dead. Humanity's the ships are kind of.
Like you're basically you have the
low.
choice of either like preserving human lives, or I shouldn't even say human lives. It's actually the lives of all the people in space, because it's not just the Alliance. It's also other alien races are also helping defend the council. So you lose a lot of forces in the battle if you decide to save the council.
Got it. Okay,
which again comes up in the story later.
That's why in the ending, basically the humanity is like kind of. Like for my choice, like on the uprise now, it's like, oh yeah, we can kind of take control of the council. We can lead, type of deal. Okay.
Well, you can also again like choose for the next game if the council died to like either replace them with another set of alien counselors, or you can have them replaced with human counselors.
That's interesting.
And then only humans decide what happens going forward if you choose that role.
Yeah. Okay. That would be pretty. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because I will say that definitely affects things going forward. Yeah. Oh man, dude, I love the ending's so cool. I also have to bring in Boots' question here. Were you able to get Saren to apologize and shoot himself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to the point where I convinced Saren is like, oh yeah, he's having regrets, and then he shoots himself with a pistol. Thank goodness I didn't have to fight him,
because that's a whole separate boss fight that you just skip if you actually do that in the dialogue.
So we got to that part. Of course, he had a second phase, and we went through that type of kind of fighting scene. But after that, I was good.
Yep. And how many times did you interact with Conrad Werner, Garret? I need to know.
Only twice. I don't know. I couldn't really find him too much.
Is it because he disappeared? He's always in the same spot.
Oh, he's always in the same spot. Oh, okay.
But he's just good. Like, he's always in the same spot, but he only appears after each big story mission.
Okay. I see. I didn't do much interaction after each main story mission.
Okay. Like you didn't keep going back to the
no,
Citadel, right?
I only went to the Citadel like 2 or 3 times. I didn't okay, time to go back to the Citadel because there wasn't really a point to go back other than I guess that side quest.
Yeah. There's a lot of side quests that happen in the Citadel, and like some of them are really interesting. For example, Garret, you might not have known this because you didn't go back to the Citadel a bunch of times, but did you know that based on the origin you picked for your character at the beginning of the game, there's one of 3 side quests that happens in the Citadel specifically pertaining to that origin that then will actually like build upon the story in further games.
I did not know that.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
I wonder if I'm sure I've done the side quests though, because I did mainly like all the side quests. Yeah. I even scanned the little keepers.
No, I mean, but the side quests were all only in the Citadel and only appeared at certain parts in the story.
Oh, okay.
So like some of them might not happen until later. Because like, for example, there's one if you pick like an off-worlder, like you pick like the one where you're kind of like rescued from a slave colony. You have to talk this like this kind of escaped woman who was escaped from the slavers, and you have to try and talk her off the edge essentially. And it's like a really, really interesting story mission that then comes up later in the other 2 games.
Yeah, I didn't encounter anything like that, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Oh, Ron asked a great question. Did you punch the reporter, Garret?
Which one?
The reporter who is doing the interview with you when you get to the Citadel?
Oh, the one that's like very antagonistic?
Yes.
No, I did not punch the reporter. That would have been funny.
That is something you can do. The best part is she appears in other Mass Effect games, Garret, and you can punch her again if you want to.
Wait, so this is not Emily Wong though, right?
No, it's a different.
No, the other reporter that like.
Yeah.
She
gets up in your face and is all like, asking you, oh, what you're doing good for humanity and stuff like that.
Right. I just like kind of stopped her. I was like, we're done with this, and I just left. So
yeah.
But it would have been funny if I punched the reporter.
In fact, there's a couple random NPCs you can punch. There's one on the very first planet that you go to, Eden Prime, where you find this delusional person who's like in a shack, and he's there with his wife, and like he's like babbling gibberish. And if you think he's dangerous, you can be like night, and you just punch him in the face and knock him out. So that and then the woman's just like, oh my God, you punched him. What are you doing? And you can just be like, well, I just didn't want him. I worried for your safety, so I wanted to make sure to knock him out.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's a bunch of there's a bunch of little things like that in this game that, like I said, with the choices carrying over to games, like some of this stuff like carries over in like the smallest things will carry over in really interesting ways with like the second and third game.
Yeah, I did do Garrus's side mission with the doctor, the scientist. So I thought that was a pretty cool one. Yeah, there was a few speckled unique side quests, but not too much.
Yeah, it's not like, because you had asked me about this, is like when the character side quests happen, and they just don't have like each one doesn't have their own kind of side quest to go on. They really lean into that with the second game though.
Nice. I do want to go through some of my other decisions. The Thorian.
Absolutely.
Well, of course, the Thorian was the thing that controlled.
Yeah, the giant plant living underneath the colony of Zoo's Hope.
Killed that thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
You're just like, nope, evil plant controlling people's minds. Probably don't want you around.
Absolutely not. So I did that. I don't know if there was one person that was possessed. It was the other blue, a sorry person, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I let her go. And then Benezia, of course, the matriarch.
Yeah.
That was such a tragic thing. I just with your companion Liara. So I had
especially
Liara,
if you have her on the mission with you, because you can choose not to bring Liara, and then she actually gets upset later if you don't bring her.
You could totally miss it because it's one of the 3 missions.
Yeah,
you can go through the whole mission with.
Although if you don't bring Liara, Garret, just so you know, your party members will talk to you as you go through Novari and be like, "Hey, Matriarch Benezia is here. You should consider bringing Liara with you."
Oh, okay.
Like it'll stop you from time to time because they kind of did the same thing in KOTOR when there is like, certain missions that pertain to certain characters. They would usually like remind you, hey, like this story is important to this particular character. You might want to consider bringing them with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
But you don't have to. You can choose not to.
Well, also, again, it was one of the 3 missions, so you could do the Matriarch Benezia mission first and never meet
Liara. Like you don't meet Liara till afterwards. Yeah, you can do that. I've never done it that way, by the way. So I'm interested to see like how she would react and be like, "Oh yeah, murdered your mom before coming to rescue you."
Whoops.
Yeah.
But no, I had Liara with me and went through that whole side mission. What about that? Oh man, what's the Arachne
Ron
Queen.
wants to know what you did with the Arachne Queen.
I let her go. I let the Arachne Queen go. So we'll see how that shakes out in the next game.
Yeah, that's a choice, Garret. That's a choice that
certainly a choice.
Can either be good or bad. We'll find out in the next set of games.
I presume it would be pretty bad. I was really thinking. I was like, should I let her go? And I'm like, I think it'll spice things up the next game. So let me just let the Arachne Queen go.
Yeah. Did you save the colonists, Garret?
I did save most of the colonists.
Okay.
At the end of that, it was like, hey, minimal casualties. Good job. He didn't kill any major ones. That was kind of hard, actually.
All of them.
Oh my goodness! Of course you did.
Even on my first playthrough, but because I didn't realize, there's the anti-thorian gas grenades.
Right.
Because I decided just to keep driving and not even get the recipe. So.
Mm-hmm. So, I got the recipe, I got the grenades, but even with the grenades, it was kind of hard to not kill them, like at least 1 or 2 people, because your squad members are attacking too, and there's a bunch of them you have to go through in order to get to the next area.
Yeah, you have to like plan out like how you're going to use your grenades and like to like aim for the right spot to hit multiple of them at once, because otherwise you'll run out of grenades and you will have to kill some of them.
I kind of Jimmy rigged it where I like ran through them kind of, and then like I went kind of outside the combat zone, and then Anyways,
and it's one of those things too where like the first time I played the game, Garret, since I didn't have the anti-thorian gas grenades, I really struggled with the thorian boss fight. But then on subsequent playthroughs I found I'm like, I can use the anti-thorian gas grenades on the enemies that the thorian spits out and just instantly kill them and make it that fight a cakewalk.
Yeah, basically. So, that's what I did with that. And then I try to be as minimal with casualties as possible with each mission I did. I was a goody 2-shoes. I don't know. I'm always like a goody 2-shoes with most of these games.
Yeah, we've talked about them before. Like I'm definitely like the person who plays evil, and you're the person who plays the goody 2-shoes role. Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it.
I think that's most of the major choices. Like I don't think there's anything else that kind of sticks out to me that you probably haven't done yet. So, you did the Bring Down the Sky mission, the one with the asteroid, right?
The Bring Down the Sky mission, which one is that? Can you remind me?
DLC mission, the one where you have to, there's an asteroid that some terrorists have taken over and are shooting towards a planet to blow it up.
No, I didn't do that one.
Oh, I mentioned that to you to make sure to play that mission.
Oh shoot, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Because there's a big choice that comes out of that too. That actually affects like the third game weirdly in a big way.
Bring down the sky, man. Hold on.
Because Bring Down the Sky was the name of the DLC, and I don't remember if the mission itself is called Bring Down the Sky or called something else, but it's actually like it feels like a story mission when you play it because there's a ton of cutscenes.
Wow. Okay.
You're fighting the Batarians. Because like there are Batarian terrorists there that have taken over this thing. You have to like go around this asteroid, knocking out kind of the thrusters that are kind of pushing the asteroid towards the planet. Because they're just like this race on this planet has been done a bunch of stuff to us, so we're going to use this asteroid to crash it into the planet and destroy it.
Wow, I can't believe I totally missed this. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because it wasn't a main mission, but it feels like a main mission, and it's because it was DLC for the game.
I would have to see where I can trigger it. See if I can go back and just do it.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the planet you have to go to, but it's but it should be there in your because you automatically get like a mission entry for it after the second mission, the second main story mission that you do.
I thought I did everything other than the collectible stuff, so I'll have to check it out.
Interesting. Yeah. So, Garret, of course, I'm going to bring in Ron's final question for you that I purposely wanted to wait for. Ron asked, do you feel that Mass Effect lived up to everything you've heard about it now that you've had a chance to play it?
Well, I think I really do need to play the second and third one to really get the full context.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's a good game, and I think I would have enjoyed it more back in 2007.
Right.
I would enjoy it a lot more. I think I would understand it a bit more. But I think this game, if this would have came out even 3 years later, 2010, 11, somewhere around there, I think it would have been pretty stale.
Right.
I think it would have been pretty hard to move forward and advance this game forward. So it's a good game, and I'm glad I played it, and I understand kind of the overarching kind of lore and everything. And I understand people growing up with it or going through it and experiencing it for the first time with other folks. I'm sure it had a lot of depth and weight into it and influence your decision. But I think as a product itself, just away from all of that outside experience, it's just I think it's a good game. But I'm not going to put this at a great or a masterpiece game for me, specifically. I think Dragon Age, to me, rings a bit more to me. I don't know why. I think it's just, it could be a matter of just, I like high fantasy stuff.
Yeah, that's too. Like, if you're not like super into sci-fi stuff, like this is why Sean loves this game so much. Like, this is a sci-fi nerd's dream. But if you're not really cool, as into sci-fi as like something like fantasy, then of course you're gonna probably feel that way at least a little bit.
Yeah, there's some stuff that like, of course, the main stuff in this game is timeless. It's like really good, but the side missions were just a little flat, and it totally makes sense coming from the time this game released. Again, if this game would have released, let's say, and that's why I feel really bad about new games this around this time, because if this type of game was released this time, it would have had no chance.
Right.
It would have been dead in the water just because of how much stuff we have now and how many different things. But
even with modern controls, you still would feel that way?
I think yes. It's just because of everyone's just tackling your time this time around. I think it's more of an awareness issue rather than a mechanical issue, if that makes sense. Like, this type of game in this type of format, we've seen it over and over and over again now in games in general. And then you get a lot more side stuff now.
True.
Than what you have in this one. That's why I feel like if this game would have been released, let's say, like this year or last year, there's kind of a lot of games that were like this. You're competing for your time. So basically, that's how I feel about Mass Effect 1. Okay. But I'm very curious about how 2 and 3 went, because maybe like my opinion will definitely change with 2.
I can definitely tell you that the gameplay in particular feels a lot more engaging for people with the second and third one in particular. And in particular, the second one, because the second one actually strips some of the RPG elements down, which I know you will dislike more. But the combat, like the act of actually going into battles, just feels so much more satisfying in the second.
You know, I actually look forward to seeing that, because I felt like this game is like I feel like the RPG elements weren't that impactful, I guess, in the game overall.
Because then in the third game, they do like this nice mix of RPG elements and tactical stuff and combat in that game. Like, I think that's, to me, it's actually like the apex of the series as far as, you know, combat goes. But also too, it's interesting because like the story, like people are always, Mass Effect fans are always kind of divided on what story they enjoyed more, the first one or the second one. And that's why a lot of us fans, like I know from me, like one of the reasons why, even because I acknowledge all the flaws with Mass Effect 1, but the story is really, really what makes this game special for me. Like that's what I love about it, is the story. And I think the second one in particular also is like, people love the story even more than the first one for a lot of people. So, but it's also a very different type of story than the first one. So I'm really interested to hear what you think about it if you do eventually decide to continue and actually check it out. And Sean mentions
this year. Yeah.
Sean mentions this important point, and I remember this from when he was streaming this game, is that this is kind of how Sean feels about Knights of the Old Republic, where Knights of the Republic was a game that Sean didn't play when it came out, and when he played it years later, you know, the story is really good, but you know, you've kind of seen that type of choice-based story kind of played out at that point, and then the combat in Knights of the Republic hasn't really aged very well. So I can definitely understand like that similar perspective for you with this game.
Yeah. So it's a very good game. It's just that it's not going to be as impactful as everyone else that has played it before and has talked about it before and kind of lead up to the second game and the third game. I can understand where people coming from, where it really impacts the gaming in your life. And I'm sure it was revolutionary at the time, this type of game. So anyways, Mass Effect 1, good. I'm actually looking forward to playing the second one. Like I do want to see where everything shakes out, and the third one. We'll see if I do it I'm sure I'll do it this year. I want to keep Mass Effect 1 fresh in my mind as I get into the second one, because of course the choices that I will carry over. So
especially if you play it on the key thing is obviously to play it on the same place that you played the first one with, or just play it in, I mean, I guess since you're really not going between different games. So I will also mention too, it's just like the critical consensus as well is much different from the first game to the second game, because like the first game got a 91 on Metacritic, pretty good.
Wow, that's great.
Pretty good. Mass Effect 3 was 93, but Mass Effect 2, Garrett, 97 on Metacritic.
That's insane.
It's one of the highest rated games of all time. People love Mass Effect 2 because that game was like a Game of the Year, multiple Game of the Year winner at many outlets. Like people love Mass Effect 2. So that one is in particular is the one where now that you've got the first one under your belt, I'm like, I'm really interested to hear what you think about that game in particular. But
sounds good.
Yeah. Because as well, it has like the extra like character side missions that I know you were looking for, as well as like a lot more of the space exploration stuff. So.
Cool. I'm so down. I feel like I did bring down the sky, but I'll have to check my playthrough.
Because again, that would be one that I would be interested to know what your choices were for that one. But anyways, I think that's all. That's all about Mass Effect, Garrett. I think we've covered everything. So I think we're gonna end the show. So for Garrett Bland, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been the RPG Cave, level 176. Only 14 more levels, Garrett, until 200. We're going to have to start preparing our character sheets pretty soon.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
And we're out.
Bye-bye.